Why does Mama Ope always have the sweetest food in the whole of Lagos? This question was asked by everyone who stood in long lines outside Mama Ope's small bright yellow restaurant. People came from all over the city, waiting for hours under the hot sun, just to get a taste of our famous food. Mama Ope's jollof rice, efori roll, egusi soup, and many other meals were not just food. They were a sensation. The secret to our food's deliciousness was a mystery, and people talked about it all the time. Some said she had magic hands. Others said she used a special spice that no one else knew about. There were even rumors that she had a pot blessed by the gods, but no one really knew the truth. Mama Ope's small restaurant sat at the busy corner of a popular street. A large sign above had door boldly declared, Mama Ope's special food. From morning to night, Mama Ope cooked, and the line never seemed to end. People from all walks of life lined up. Rich men in expensive suits, Okada riders covered in dust, market women with baskets on their heads, and even children with tiny bowls clutched in their hands. They all stood in long line, eagerly waiting for their turn to buy her food. One plate of rice and stew, a man shouted excitedly. 2 wraps of amala and ewedu, a woman called out. Extra meat for me, please, another person begged. Though her meals were not cheap, no one cared. People didn't mind paying whatever it took to taste Mama Ope's food. Some even borrowed money just to enjoy a plate of her delicious meals. One man, Uncle Jide, loved Mama Ope's food so much that he ate there every single day. His friends often teased him. Uncle Jide, why don't you eat at home? They asked. He would laugh and reply, Mama Ope's food is sweeter than my wife's cooking. I don't know what she puts inside, but it's special. The others would laugh, but deep down, they all had the same question. What was Mama Ope's secret? There was something else very strange about Mama Ope's kitchen. She never allowed anyone inside when she was cooking, not even her workers. The workers could help serve food, wash dishes, and take orders, but when it was time to cook, Mama Ope was always alone. No one was allowed to wash the meat, grind the pepper, or stir the soup. If someone tried to peek inside, Mama Ope would shout, "Get out! Do your work outside," she would scream. The workers were confused. Why did Mama Ope cook alone? They were too afraid to ask too many questions. After all, Mama Ope was the boss, and no one dared challenge her. One evening, a young boy named Sunday was sitting outside his house. He was listening to his mother and aunts talk about Mama Ope. I must buy food from there one day, his mother said. His aunts laughed. Mama Ope's food is the best in Lagos. Tunde frowned. Mama, why is our food so sweet? He asked. His mother smiled and shook her head. I don't know, my son, but one thing I know is that everyone loves it. Tunde scratched his head. He couldn't understand. How could one person's food be so much better than everyone else? That night, as he lay in bed, Tunde couldn't sleep. The question kept turning over and over in his head. What makes Mama Ope's food so sweet? The next morning, Tunde woke up early to run an errand for his mother. As he passed Mama Ope's house, something caught his eye. Mama Ope was outside, bathing in a big blue bowl. Tunde stopped and stared. It was very unusual. Most people bathed inside their homes, but Mama Ope was doing it outside. She scrubbed her body with a sponge, poured water over her head, and washed her face. Tunde was about to walk away when something even stranger happened. Mama Ope finished bathing, but instead of throwing the water away, she picked up the large bowl and walked inside with it. Tunde blinked. Why is she carrying her bit water inside? He thought. Something didn't feel right. The next day, Tunde decided to check again. He hid behind a tree near Mama Ope's house and waited, heart pounding in his chest. Just like before, Mama Ope came outside with a large bowl of water. She took her bath, scrubbing her body and washing her hair. And just like before, she carried the water inside the house. Tunde's heart began racing. Something is not right, he whispered to himself. He crept closer to the window of Mama Ope's kitchen. He climbed up onto a stone, hoping to peek inside. What he saw made him freeze. Mama Ope was standing in front of a large pot on the stove. She was pouring the bathwater into the pot. Tunde's mouth fell open. His eyes were wide with shock. His leg boomed, and he nearly fell from the stone. Could this really be the secret? Was Mama Ope using her bathwater to cook the food? Tunde felt sick. The food that everyone loved, the food his mother wanted to buy, was being made with water from Mama Ope's bath. He couldn't believe it. But before he could react, something happened that made his heart stop. Mama Ope stopped stirring the soup. She slowly turned her head. Her eyes locked onto the window. Tunde's heart skipped a beat. Had she seen him? His breath caught in his throat. He quickly ducked down, pressing his back against the wall. His body was frozen in fear. He held his breath, hoping she hadn't noticed him. The kitchen was silent. Then he heard its footsteps, slow, heavy footsteps. Tunde pressed himself flat against the wall. His heart pounded in his chest, faster and faster. The footsteps came closer. Tunde's body trembled. Was Mama Ope coming for him? Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. The window creaked open. A deep voice came from inside. Who is there? Tunde's blood ran cold. What would he do now? Who is there? Mama Ope's voice cut through the silence like a knife. It was deep and steady, but there was something in it that sent a chill down Tunde's spine. He froze completely, unsure of what to do. Should he answer? Should he run? The footsteps were getting closer, and his heart raced in his chest like a drum. Tunde pressed himself even tighter against the wall, hoping she hadn't truly seen him. His mind raced with thought of escape, but his legs refused to move. He could feel the cold sweat on his forehead, the fear gripping him tightly. The window creaked open further. He could hear Mama Ope's breath, slow and calm, as if she were certain someone was there. Then, just as he thought the worst was about to happen, the footsteps stopped right outside the window. The silence that followed was even worse than the sound of her footsteps. Tunde held his breath, praying she would go back inside. Suddenly the voice came again, this time even closer, like she was speaking directly to him. Who is watching me? Tunde didn't know what to do. He was caught. There was no escaping now. With a shaky hand, he stood up carefully from his hiding place and peeked over the window's sill. Mama Ope's sharp eye looked onto his. She was standing just inside the kitchen door, holding the wooden spoon in her hand, the same spoon she used to stir the bathwater-soaked soup. Her gaze was intense, like she could see straight into his soul. Tunde swallowed hard, his throat dry. I wasn't looking. I was just curious. He stammered, his voice weak. Mama Ope didn't say anything at first. She simply stared at him, her expression unreadable. The tension between them grew thicker with each passing second. Then, finally she spoke, but her voice was calm, almost too calm. Curious, you say? About my secret? She asked, her eyes narrowing. There was a quiet danger in her tone that made Tunde's stomach drop. Tunde didn't know how to respond. Was this the moment he would be caught? Was she going to call the police or tell everyone about what he had seen? His mind spun with fear. But to his surprise, Mama Ope smiled faintly. It wasn't a warm smile, but rather a knowing, secretive smile. You should not have seen that, she said softly, her voice almost a whisper. But now that you have, you must understand that I cannot allow you to share it with anyone. Tunde's mind raced. What did she mean by that? Was she threatening me? Was she going to make him disappear like some of the rumors he had heard? He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Mama Ope stepped closer to the window. Her face now only inches from his. She reached out, gently lifting his chin so that he looked her in the eye. You have seen my secrets, and I have seen you. Tunde felt the weight of her gaze pressing down on him, making him feel small and insignificant. He swallowed hard, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill. You will not tell anyone, she continued, her voice now softer but still firm, because if you do, you will regret it. Words hung in the air like heavy fog. Tunde was scared to argue, too scared to say anything. He simply nodded, unable to tear his eyes away from Mama Ope's intense kiss. She smiled again, but this time, it seemed a little kinder. Good, she said. You will keep my secrets, and in return, I will allow you to live with your life intact. Tunde nodded quickly, still unable to speak. He turned away from the window and walked away as fast as his legs could carry him, feeling the weight of the secret pressing down on him the entire way. As Tunde made his way back home, his mind was racing. How could he keep such a secret? What would happen if he told anyone about Mama Ope's strange ritual? Was she really using bathwater to cook? He couldn't shake the image of the pot on the stove, bubbling with the bathwater, and the disturbing smell Mama Ope had given him. It all felt wrong, but now he was too scared to speak up. The next day, Tunde didn't know what to do. His heart was heavy with guilt and fear. He couldn't get the images of Mama Ope's kitchen out of his head. How could she do such a thing? Why did she need to use her water to cook? The whole situation felt wrong, but he had promised her he wouldn't tell anyone. For days, Tunde went about his daily routines, trying to pretend that everything was normal. But deep inside, he felt sick. Gathered children in his neighborhood asked him about Mama Ope's food, wondering if he had tried it yet. Tunde would shake his head and change the subject, not knowing how to explain why he couldn't. He kept his secret, but it was starting to hit away at him. Was he doing the right thing? Was Mama Ope really hiding something dark behind her delicious meals? Or was there another explanation for what he had seen? Then one day, as Tunde was walking home, he overheard a conversation between two women in the markets. I heard they are going to shut down Mama Ope's shop. One woman whispered. Somebody saw her using something strange in her cooking. They say she's been hiding it all along. Tunde stopped dead in his tracks. He could hardly believe his ears. Someone else had seen it. Someone else knew about Mama Ope's secret. He leaned closer to listen. They say the police are coming to investigate. The other woman said, people are talking. They want to know what's really going on in that kitchen. Tunde's heart skipped a bit. Was it finally going to come to light? Was Mama Ope's secrets going to be exposed? The next day, there was a large crowd gathered outside Mama Ope's restaurant. Rumors had spread quickly, and people were talking in hushed voices, pointing at the yellow painting with suspicion. Tunde stood among them, his stomach twisting with dread. He hadn't wanted it to come to this. He hadn't wanted Mama Ope's secret to be uncovered. But now it seemed like everyone knew. The police arrived in their patrol cars, and a group of officers stepped out. They were serious, their faces grim as they entered the restaurant. The crowd watched in silence, waiting for something to happen. Tunde felt a wave of guilt wash over him. He hadn't said anything, but now he couldn't ignore the truth. Mama Ope had been using something strange in her food, and people were starting to find out. The police began questioning our workers, asking if they knew anything about what was really going on in the kitchen. Tunde couldn't help but wonder, would Mama Ope be arrested? Would a restaurant be shut down? what would happen to her. As the investigation continued, Tunde noticed something strange. Despite the serious nature of the situation, Mama Ope wasn't panicking. She wasn't worried at all. Instead, she walked out to meet the police with a calm smile on her face. "Officer, I see you have questions," she said smoothly, her voice filled with confidence. "But there is nothing wrong with my food. People love it, and that's all that matters." Tunde watched from a distance, his heart pounding. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Mama Ope was acting like nothing was wrong. Could she be that clever? Was she really hiding something worse than that? The police officers led by Sergeant Ade were meticulous in their questioning. They had gathered outside Mama Ope's restaurant early in the morning, with news spreading like wildfire through Lagos that something unusual was happening in her kitchen. The crowd of onlookers grew larger as the investigation unfolded. Some whispered nervously, while others seemed curious, eager to know what would happen next. Tunde stood at the back of the crowd, barely able to contain his nervous energy. His heart was still racing from the event of the past few days. He couldn't shake the image of Mama Ope stirring her bitter water into the soup. He wondered how it had all come to this. Had she been using the water for years? Had anyone else seen what he had? What would happen to her now? Inside the restaurant, Mama Ope remained calm and composed as she greeted the officers. The officers who had heard the rumors and gathered evidence from concerned customers looked skeptical, but they tried to hide it behind their stained faces. "Mama Ope," Sergeant Ade began, his voice firm, "we've received several reports about the strange methods used in your cooking. You have to understand that we are here to ensure everything is being done properly. Your food is well loved, but there are some concerns." Mama Ope smiled, a gentle yet unsettling smile that didn't match the gravity of the situation. "I understand," she said with a small nod, her voice smooth and reassuring. "But there is nothing strange about the way I cook. People love my food and I take great pride in it. If there is something wrong with it, I would know." Sergeant Ade exchanged a look with his colleagues. They had heard about her defensive attitude, but they were determined to uncover the truth. "We've been hearing that you use something other than regular ingredients in your cooking. There are rumors that your food contains bathwater. Is this true?" he asked bluntly. Mama Ope's smile faded for a brief moment, but then she recovered. "This is simply not true," she said, her tone now more serious. "There must be some misunderstanding. My food is made with love and care, with the freshest ingredients. I've never used anything harmful in my cooking." Tunde, who had been listening from the edge of the crowd, felt his stomach churn. He knew it wasn't true. He knew what he had seen. But how could he speak up now? How could he tell everyone what he had witnessed without causing even more chaos? Sergeant Ade wasn't convinced. "We have reason to believe that something is off. We have reports from several customers who saw you using a strange substance in your cooking. It's been said that you don't allow anyone to enter your kitchen when you are preparing meals. Why is that?" Mama Ope's eyes narrowed slightly, her calm demeanor slipping for just a moment. "I prefer to work alone," she replied, her voice cool. "Cooking is at heart. I don't like to be interrupted. It's nothing more than that." The officers weren't buying it. They had heard enough strange stories about Mama Ope's secretive cooking practices. They had received complaints from people who said that after eating her food, they felt strange, dizzy, sleepy, or even unwell. They needed to investigate further. Sergeant Ade gave the signal to his team. "We are going to need to inspect your kitchen," he said firmly. Mama Ope's expression remained unreadable. "Of course," she said, stepping aside to let the officers enter the kitchen. "But I assure you, there is nothing wrong in there." As the officers entered the kitchen, Tunde's heart raced. He couldn't bear to see the kitchen exposed, but at the same time, He couldn't look away. He followed at a distance, trying to stay hidden in the crowd, his eyes glued to the door. Inside the kitchen, the officers quickly began to inspect the various cooking stations. They opened the refrigerator, the cupboards, and the cabinets, looking for anything unusual. At first, everything seemed normal. The kitchen was clean, and there were bags of rice, baskets of vegetables, and fresh meat. But when they reached the pot on the stove, things took a darker turn. Sergeant Ade's eyes narrowed when he saw the large pot simmering on the stove. "What's in this pot?" he asked, moving closer to inspect it. The lid was slightly raised, and a strange smell filled the air. Mama Ope's face remained neutral, but there was a hint of tension in her eyes. "That's just my soup, nothing more," she said quickly, as if trying to brush it off. The officers weren't fooled. They lifted the lid, and the scent of the soup grew stronger. It smelled rich like a mix of spice and herbs, but there was something else, something odd. It was almost like the smell of beach water. "Are you sure this is just soup?" Sergeant Ade asked, his voice now stern. "We've had strange reports about your food, and this doesn't smell like normal ingredients." Mama Ope's smile wavered for a moment. She stepped forward and placed a hand on the officer's arm. A subtle gesture that might have seemed comforting if the situation weren't so tense. "I told you," she said softly. "My food is perfectly safe. There is no need for all this trouble." Sergeant Ade didn't back down. "We'll be testing the contents of this pot. Something isn't right, and we are going to find out what." As the officers began to scoop out samples of the soup for testing, Tunde couldn't stand it any longer. He had to do something. He had to speak up. He pushed through the crowd and rushed towards the door, his heart pounding in his chest. When he reached the entrance, he stopped, unsure if he should go inside, but he knew he couldn't let this go on. He had seen Mama Ope's secrets, and it was time for the truth to come out. With trembling hands, Tunde entered the kitchen. The officers looked up in surprise, but Sergeant Ade's expression softened when he saw the boy. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice curious. Tunde swallowed hard and stepped forward. I know something," he said, his voice shaking. "I've seen what Mama Ope does. I've seen her. She uses her water to cook." The room fell silent. The officers stared at Tunde, their eyes wide with disbelief. Mama Ope's face drained as color as she turned to face him, her calm demeanor finally cracking. "Don't listen to him," Mama Ope said quickly, her voice low and urgent. "He doesn't know what he's talking about." But Tunde wasn't afraid anymore. He had to tell the truth no matter the cost. I saw her carry the water into the kitchen." Tunde continued, his voice growing steadier. "I saw her put it in the pot. That's what she uses to make her food." The officers turned to Mama Ope. Their faces grinned. "Is this true?" Sergeant Ade asked, his voice hard. "Are you cooking with baked water?" For the first time, Mama Ope seemed to hesitate. She looked at Tunde, then at the officers, and then back at the pot on the stove. The truth was out, and there was no denying it anymore. I didn't want anyone to know," Mama Ope finally admitted, her voice cracking. "It was a mistake. I thought I could keep it a secret, but I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to make the best food." The officers exchanged looks, their expressions now mixed with disappointment and concern. "You've been using bad water to cook this whole time?" Sergeant Ade asked. Mama Ope nodded slowly, her eyes filled with shame. "I thought it was the only way to make my food taste so special. It's not magical. It's just water I bathe in. But I never meant to harm anyone. I thought it would help people, make them feel better." Tunde walked, his heart heavy with the weight of the truth. He had never imagined that Mama Ope's secret would be so strange, so unsettling. But now, it was clear that she had used something deeply personal in her cooking, something that made people loved her food. But at what cost? Mama Ope was later arrested and sentenced to jail. Hence, her restaurant was shut down.